Hello, artists! Welcome back to another Art Life Conversations podcast with me, your host, Kelly Folsom. And for those of you who are new to me, I am a full-time artist. I am an art teacher, coach, mentor, author, all that good stuff. And my main passion and desire as an artist is to help other women artists really thrive and be abundant and be prolific and confident in every aspect of their art life. So if you are an artist who is seeking to have a more successful art life in any area, then I hope that this is of service to you. So today, what we're going to be talking about is how to be more productive in less time. Specifically, three things that are slowing down your progress, both in your art progress and in your art business progress. The number one thing is just taking too long to complete something, to complete either a painting or to complete a business task, perhaps that you have to complete, just taking too long, okay? So there is a really interesting law called Parkinson's law, which states that work expands so as to fill the time available to its completion. We could just take perhaps a simple task, like maybe you want to reorganize your closet or redo your closet. And let's say, for example, if you don't set a time limit on that task or that to do, you might actually take all day to work on that and to get it done, versus if you said, I'm going to give myself 2 hours to clean out this closet, to reorganize it, and get everything where I want it to be. It's amazing. It is really amazing how this works, that you will be able to get the job done and get the task done in those 2 hours, the same way, in the same amount of time that maybe somebody else that didn't set a timeline for perhaps maybe took all day to get it done. So many artists often ask me, like, how do you do all of this? Like, how do you do podcasts? How do you teach? How do you run an online art business? How do you paint? How do you then have time to paint? So for me, this principle, the Parkinson's law principle, is so fundamental to me getting more done in less time, and therefore and while being efficient at it. It's not like we're being sloppy or anything like that. And therefore being more successful as an artist, right? And that is what we're aiming for. And I know for artists, this can be a sticky point or a sticky topic, because a lot of us artists are more on that creative, spontaneous time, like time to wander, like time to explore, and that's totally fine. What I would say is, however, you need to actually have a specific amount of time for that sort of thing. Like today, today is my day of spontaneity. Today I have 2 hours of just, or 1 hour, however long you need, of just like, allowing my mind to wander and to think creatively and to daydream or to come up with ideas. But again, if you don't have specific times and specific times that you're assigning specific tasks or completion dates to, then most likely you are just going to be taking way too much time. You're going to take all the time in the world. So if you don't have, for example, say each week, say I'm going to complete this number of paintings in this amount of painting time that I have, sectioned off in my schedule here, then what can end up happening is you end up working on maybe only one painting that week, for example. And maybe ideally you really wanted to get 3 paintings done, but you just took forever and ever and ever on that one painting, never really bringing it to completion. constantly changing it, overthinking it, taking too much time. And that can tie into the third issue here, which is basically just endless preparation. Now, I think this shows up for people, both artists, for both in their painting life as well as in their business life. I do end up seeing this a lot more on the business side for artists, and I know I experienced that as well. Never really starting the thing, let alone setting a time for when they will start and when they will complete. And they get stuck in this place of like just endless preparation. Let's say, for example, I want to redo my website, and they will spend months, weeks, days, just endlessly preparing, and a lot of times just preparing in their mind, or maybe doing endless research online, like, oh, well, what are the best platforms, really trying to figure out all of the options and all the possibilities, and what ends up happening is they never take action, or that website that they have been endlessly preparing for, which could have taken them, less than a week to get accomplished if they really focused, and really got it done. Maybe it's drawn out to be a year. I hear often a complaint from artists like, oh, it takes so long, and it really doesn't. It's just you are allowing yourself to take so long, right? So then, then what ends up happening is you start to believe like, oh, it takes so long to write a newsletter or to compose a newsletter to send to my email list, right? What ends up happening is your brain will go to work if you are really in integrity with your commitment there to completing that task in an hour's time or less. And that's usually what I say, 1 hour or less. If you are really committed to that and you really believe yourself, you really are being honest with yourself and trust yourself that you are going to cut yourself off at that hour, like no matter where it's at, right? This is as good as it gets. What will happen is your brain starts to come up with more efficient ways of doing things, quicker ways of doing things, ways of basically making that time much more efficient, much more constructive. But basically, not only endless preparation, but endless perfectionism, right? So really not accepting the nature or the state that something is in and accepting the completion of it, even with its perhaps flaws or imperfections, if you want to call it those, right? Like sending that newsletter anyway, even if you're like, oh, there might have been a better way that I could have said that, or maybe it could have been laid out better. Maybe I could have stumbled upon, that magnificent subject line that was just going to get everybody to open it, all these kinds of things, right? So that kind of gets into endlessly perfecting that task until you feel like it is perfect. And in my mind, it's like nothing is ever perfect. There's always room for improvement, and so where I see the improvement coming in is in the consistency. So when you learn from each email that you send out, each subject line that you write, you learn from the feedback and from the results of those things, right? You don't get to do one perfect painting, one perfect email, and you've learned all there is to learn about that thing, and now you've got it down. Like, that's just not the way that it works. Okay. All right, artists, I hope that this has been helpful to you. Just to recap, be sure that you are setting a time limit, time constraint. Avoid those traps of endless preparation, endless perfectionism, and just assign a time. Make it a game, make it fun. Like, how can I complete this painting in 2 hours, which used to take me 6 hours? How can I structure that painting time, that 2 hours, to really be focused? And actually, I find that too, like the shorter the time limit I have on something, the more focused and intentional I actually am in the moment. And so actually the work ends up being higher quality rather than just, oh, okay, I've got all day to work on this, so I'm going to kind of, fiddle fart around and do endless preparation over here. And, oh, now I need a break, go have a cup of tea, those kinds of things, right? Like, no, focus, get your work done, do it with the highest quality you can possibly do it in that amount of time, accept the results. Then guess what? Then you get to go, relax and chill. And the added benefit is you get to feel great that you accomplish more in less time. And I'm telling you, there's nothing that's really more of a confidence booster than that. And also, if you are a woman artist that is looking to really level up your art life, level up your art business, be sure to go to artlifewithkelly.com, Kelli, so that you can check out and see what all I have coming up and available to you to serve you on an even deeper level. Okay, artists, wishing you all so much happiness, success, and creativity. Remember that your art does matter and makes a difference in this world, and we need your voice. We need your voice. We need your art. Okay, until next week, happy painting. Bye.